Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another Genshin Impact analysis video. We just finished watching the Luna version 6 special program, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around what we just experienced. We are getting... We're getting Dornman Port. We're getting all of this crazy lore regarding Asmoday, her crazy temple of space domain, like realm, like void space realm. All of this ancient lore with these lost civilizations that Asmoday has taken from Teyvat and has like safeguarded for preservation and safety potentially. We have these watchers that are giving me like fine Amphorius coded like black tide energy, very sussy like things that we shouldn't be getting into, like some like security protocol regarding the sustainer of heavenly principles, which I'm curious if we're going to learn about her whereabouts or what's happened to her. A whole bunch of lore. They revealed the new character, like one of the new characters that were silhouette drip marketed a while ago. They revealed a little bit of her design and what she looks like. We saw Seamus Pegg in game with a model for the first time since seeing him in the manga 6 years ago, or 5.5 years ago, 6 years ago, Jean and Barbara's dad. And so I'm so excited. Dornman Port looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm so excited to get all of like the immersion, the Mondstadt music. We're finally getting new Mondstadt music since like Dragon Spine, which is crazy. The coast looks great. The environments look great. We're getting a bunch of character cameos. Lohen's back in the picture. Lieben's back in the picture. And so we're going to be breaking down this trailer scene by scene, line by line, and I hope you guys look forward to it. So the first thing is like how uncanny this thing starts out in. Last patch was crazy because it showed Paimon and Aether walking into Mondstadt from the from the beach line, and it's like, oh my god, it's the game all over again, which was kind of weird how they started that up. And then they did it again with us getting the title screen revealed, but it's not what it seems. We get the little glitch effect, and then bada bing, bada boom. This is an updated variation brought into what looks to be what I'm assuming is like the realm of Celestia, right? Having that door and like starting up the game as always. It seems like it's a bit refined. Now, I don't know if this is implying that the next title screen on the next update is going to look like this. So we're going to go from this title screen to this title screen, which would be crazy because I've always had this thought in my head that eventually, and I mean, they kind of did it subtly with the Frost Moon. Like if you boot up the game at night, the Frost Moon actually changes from the False Moon to the Columbina Frost Moon if you finish the Nod Krai Archon quest. So I always envisioned that we would get some type of title screen reflection. Again, I don't know if this is symbolizing something happening in game or if this is like the title screen being updated, but this is super cool. Again, like a back and forth comparison here, looks super sick. And clearly things are not as they seem. We got the glitched effect. I don't know if this has anything to do with like the glitching effect of the Archon quest with Dottore, or if this is somehow like, you know, the illusions or like the security parameters put in play by Asmoday before she went off to wherever she went off to. But we got an update here, and we have like the rails that are here too, so that's pretty cool. And again, it just looks like an updated version of the title screen. But yeah, and then we jump right in. This is so cool. Oh my god. Yeah, so this is like the top-down coastline of Nod Krai. This is such a beautiful top-down shot too. Like the harbor spot where we ended up starting, and then Nasha Town, and then you can see like the different locales and areas, Blue Amber Lake and so on and so forth, and then the Alcor. So this is basically representing the upcoming event with everybody tuning in.
Have you heard of the Nod Krai Trade Expo?
Oh my gosh, the freaking Guizhong Ballista. Can I buy one of those? I really hope we get this as a furnishing. That'd be so cool.
You sure you're allowed to sell stuff
the
like
robots
this?
too.
Compared to the model the Milleleth's using, this one might as well be an antique.
Yeah, so I don't know why we're still allowing Aino to create like her own like mini robot army, but if we end up getting, so this is another thing too. Ningguang apparently has updated the Guizhong Ballista, and she also has like this orbital drop down like artillery fire on these ruin guards, which I feel like we've gotten so many of these kind of events where it's like a strategy situation, like, oh, fight these hilly churls, fight these ruin creatures. And I think this is maybe like the 5th or 6th one that we've gotten that I can at least just think of off the top of my head. And I just feel like it's all of the nations simultaneously preparing for this endgame war. Everybody is upgrading their military, they're upgrading their tech, their weaponry, and like they're just kind of getting stronger even though there's no immediate threat or anything that's happening in the present. They're preparing for this war in the future. And so this is just another situation. Now it's Nodkrai's turn to kind of level up and upgrade a little bit. So Aino's like, okay, I got to put my Clink Clink, I got to retire the Clink Clink Legion. We got to upgrade to like all this other stuff, which is, I think they're foreshadowing here.
This one might as well be an antique.
Yeah, these robots are massive.
Do me proud.
It's one of the Fontaine Research Institute's newest inventions. It's a kind of relay system that allows the user to unleash Numa and Usia energy.
Yeah, so Fontaine's also utilizing Usia Numa into their new defense technology, and Aether is basically the test dummy for it all.
Hold on. If she's that good,
Aguara? Bro, I missed that initially. I was still freaking out about everything else we were seeing, but yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the slightly confusing thing about this. Aguara, in-game, he's a furnishing pet that you get for your Serena Teapot, but you only get him if you did an interaction, like a quest interaction in Ochganatlan. So if you did the quest, you get an egg, you put the egg in your teapot, and then after you finish the, I believe after you finish the Tepetlosaur storyline with your companion, Aguara will hatch and he'll be in that abode and he'll be in your teapot. So like, this is kind of awkward because like, what if you didn't do that? Do they just give you this little Tepetlosaur as like a stand-in? Even though, I mean, you would have it if you did it, but I'm kind of curious how they're going to treat this Tepetlosaurus if you didn't do that quest line. But yeah, he's been in my abode ever since we said bye to Bibu.
hold on. If she's that good and she's only the deputy,
Oh yeah, right there. Look at that. Oh my God, this is like another Pokemon battle.
your little friend is so
I
clever
literally
and cute.
missed that
I love
sequence
how she
there
flies
with
around, too. Can I pet her?
yeah, so we got Linnea and Jack Frost. So Jack Frost is one of the 6 Fae of Snezhnaya. So we got the Changeling, we have the Jack Frost. I haven't read the Snezhnaya books yet, or like the Fae books yet in Nodkrai, so I don't know if they mention or talk about any other ones outside of the 2 that we have like confirmed in this trailer here. I don't know if Flynn's counts as one too, because I know he's like the Lantern Fae. I don't know if that's a common one or if there are others that are like him, but obviously Flynn's is another one.
My name's Linnea. I'm an advisor working for the Adventurers Guild.
I love her. Chat, I think I am gonna pull for Linnea, but I'm gonna skip her weapon. I think I just want her for like her utilization and for like her lore. Like her utility and her lore, but I don't really think I need her weapon. I'll just read her weapon off of someone else who gets it. But that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. And yeah, that initial sequence was pretty straightforward. I'm very excited. Bro. Chat, I'll be the first to say it. I think the wait was worth it. This looks exceptional. This is Mondstadt, chat. This is literally a part of Mondstadt, and I'm like, oh my God. I love it for the windmills, the coastline, all the boats that are in the water, the sandy shoreline right there, the cliffs. Also, I'm very interested by the potential environmental storytelling, because this is also kind of reminding me a little bit of like the Golden Apple Archipelago, where like all of these structures are like separated. They're all, it almost looks like they're like broken apart unnaturally. Like this doesn't seem like natural formations almost, right? Like this mountain looks super jagged and cracked off, and then you got this massive gap, and this little structure is like separated from everything else. So it seems like something crazy may have happened here in the past, and then obviously it culminates at the top. You see the statue of like the Venti or the statue of Barbatos at the top there, and then that connects into the Temple of Space, I'm assuming, with the like the haunted sanitarium and all of that. But clearly Venti and Asmoday seem to have some kind of connection. I'm not entirely sure how that plays out, but this is so beautiful. The exploration is going to be cinema. I'm curious if there's going to be any type of exploration mechanic to help us traverse a little bit more or like make our way around certain places. But yeah, like new Mondstadt music, new Mondstadt vibes. I'm kind of curious how we're gonna get there too, like, and how it's gonna connect back to regular Mondstadt, because it seems like we're out on the water here, so only time will tell. But this is super cool. Beautiful. Look at this. Oh my God. Wow. Honestly, it kind of looks like another extension of the city even. Like, it literally, we got like another bridge. I really hope there isn't another kid here crying about how his dad like ran out on him when he doesn't know the truth. Another boy who like loves pigeons on this bridge here. But yeah, this is so sick. The port right there. They put the port in Dornman Port. Yeah, this is beautiful. This is phenomenal. I love the way it looks.
Any Mondstatter in the company of the wind shall be guided towards eventual reunion. Let the wind lead according to his blessings.
Wow. Oh my god, gamers. So that's Seamus Pegg right there talking.
Any Mondstatter in the company of the wind shall be guided towards eventual reunion.
Bro, I can't believe it. So he's back in Mondstadt right here. So this is cut back. This might be a different sequence altogether. Seamus is in Mondstadt right now from this shot, and he's overlooking the statue of Venti in Mondstadt, and then it immediately snaps to the Traveler walking towards this statue. Also, this entire area reminds me also, like, just this view right here kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Temple of Time with Istaroth. Like, just the infrastructure. Obviously, this is like unified civilization infrastructure. It reminds me a little bit of the Temple of Time, but it seems like this statue is associated with Asmoday, which makes me wonder. So if this statue, so in the special program, it showed the base of the statue lighting up, and then this connects to the Temple of Space. I wonder if this connects to the Temple of Space, and the statue in Mondstadt, which literally has the inscriptions Gateway to Celestia, connects you to Celestia. So this teleports you to like Asmoday's space realm, and then the statue in Mondstadt teleports you to like Celestia, or gives you access to Celestia once certain conditions are met. I don't really know what those conditions would be. Maybe the shades, maybe getting all the shades together, or like maybe their powers will somehow elicit like unlocking the door to the heavenly principles themselves. Yeah, this is very interesting. Again, a direct connection with Venti and Istaroth, which is super sus.
Lead according to his blessings.
Bro, oh my god, what am I looking at right now? This is so cool. Like, this is very Hersher of the Void. It's a space realm with a bunch of random stuff here. You see all the little stars too. That looks really cool. And everything looks like it's like suspended, look like cables like extending into the sky. So that's kind of odd. Very good wallpaper material there. You got some bones here. So in the special program sequence as well, one of the NPCs, I was catching a glimpse of what the NPCs were talking about, and they mentioned Dragon King Nibelung. They mentioned like the Dark Dragon, and like the other, like one of the Watchers mentioned the Creator. So I wonder if these bones are dragon bones, or if they're just bones of a mysterious creature of the past. But these look like Watcher statues, and like they're basically guarding Asmoday's temple. This is sick. So like, I guess this little star thing at the top here signifies that this is one of the many realms that Asmodee has hidden away from the world. I don't think I've ever heard of this. I forgot what they said it was called in the trailer, but this is basically a yoinked civilization from Teyvat's ancient past. This might be another civilized, like another unified civilization, like civilization from that time, like during the time of the angels and humanity. Liu Yang Academy. Okay, Liu Yang Academy. I see. Okay, this is like a Liyue domain space, it seems. And we have one, and then this is Inazuman, which is such a crazy... And then we have like Dex, the hand here. I wonder if this hand belongs to the other Watcher that ran off, because I'm kind of curious like who this arm or who this hand belongs to specifically. If it belongs to the Watcher that's here, or if it belongs to the Watcher that apparently fled and is currently in somewhere in Mondstadt's Dornman Port. This is cool too. Yeah, so this is the Liyue sequence. Fontaine, so you got Remoria featured here too.
Just a dream, though, right?
Nod Krai.
None of this is real.
Miss Chevrolet and I
Bro, this
seem
is
to be
crazy, brother.
We're in the same fish.
This is actually crazy. This is actually like Iron Tomb level. What the hell am I looking at? Am I still playing Genshin Impact right now type shit? This is insane. Now that I'm like, yeah, this literally is just reminding me of Amphorius and Iron Tomb and the Black Tide, and nothing anyone can say will ever convince me otherwise. Shout out to the people that were constantly getting annoyed that I was getting comments of like, leave the games alone. The games deserve to be separate. You're taking away from Genshin by talking about Amphorius. Blame Hoyoverse, don't blame me, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just calling it like I see it. This is literally these jagged freaking, like, it's literally Iron Tomb. The black, the cubes, the red and black, like, the entire design. I'm like, dude, sorry I played Amphorius and I'm forever changed by that story, but, like, Cyrene and Mem with Columbina and Luonatar, hey, I'm just calling it like I see it. I don't know what you want from me. But regardless of that, this is super cool. I pray to God that we can always come back here. I cannot wait to experience what the music is like here. If there's even any music here, it would be kind of crazy if it was like deafeningly silent, like just like nothingness, just the sound of your footsteps. Because like in my head, I'm like, I can't even perceive what this is going to feel like. Like looking at it isn't enough. Like I actually have to be there, which is crazy. But you got the cubes of Asmoday. You have these like giant claws. I don't know what the imagery here is signifying, but you know, this thing's like, it's like grabbing onto like this cage, and these cages are also being grabbed, and this looks like it's like a center console. So clearly Asmoday has things in order here. She has a security parameters, nobody in, nobody out apparently, but the traveler as a descender is triggering the alarm, and so the watchers are waking up.
I've been through this moment.
And then she has all these civilizations here too, which is crazy. And yeah, that's the ballista that I saw. Ooh.
Imagining you sharing the same pain I feel.
I've been through this moment so many times in my head. Imagine you sharing the same pain I feel. Also, is that a wander? Is that a watcher trapped in the cage surrounded by, you know what these mirrors remind me of? These remind me of Herta, the Herta's mirrors, which also gave off like a red aura to them. And they're all like facing the same watcher. So I wonder if this is the watcher with that the hand belongs to. Maybe there's a caged watcher that they didn't mention, because they said that there were two watchers. One of them is still in the tower, the one that I'm assuming is gonna fight us, and then there's another one in Mondstadt. I don't know whose voice this is, but it might just be an NPC from like one of the quests, so this might be a debate. Interesting. Allegory of the cage, chat.
What the? Are you crazy?
He even lured us to not cry to help him
Yeah.
get it.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, look at this. They are in the cage. I just don't know if that's the same watcher, if it's a different one.
The less you know, the better.
Bro, oh my god. Whoa! Chat, wait. I'll go back. This guy's arm looks just like Dottore's, but it's gold. Dottore had the blue arm with the same symbols on it. Chat, is Dottore like a watcher of Asmoday's or something? Like, what the fuck did mans do? How the hell? Why is this imagery the same as Dottore's? Also, the whole cube energy and everything too, like he was fucking around with cubes, but like his were blue, but they kind of gave off that same kind of that same kind of impression. And he was talking about like life, space, life, death, time, space, and all of that. So like, yeah, I just looked at his arm right here and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is this? But yeah, this thing looks so majestic. It's got a corrupted arm too, so this arm is corrupted, and then this arm looks like, I don't know if that's what it's supposed to look like. I don't know if it's corrupted by something too. I don't know if Asmoday is corrupted by the abyss or something, or if this is just an aesthetic thing, but this doesn't look normal. This thing looks like it's like out of whack or out of sorts. Like the black tide is just like an infection. It's not good. It's like a destructive sequence or a destructive equation. And so I'm just like, I don't know, man. That might be the character that's talking. You're better off with the life you have. The less you know, the better. No? Wait, hold on. How far back do I have to go? Before that? Earlier? Oh, this character. I can't tell if that's a playable character or if that's just like a very stylized NPC. Does that look playable to you guys? Fontanian? I did see her, but I just wrote her off as like an NPC, but it could be a character. This might be Lumi leveling up. But yeah, I don't know if this character's playable or they just might be like a fancily styled NPC for this event specifically. Like a Milliastra Wonderland upgraded model. But we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, this is so cool. Again, this watcher is caged.
You're better off with the life you have.
Also, Linnea with those wings looks kind of crazy. Holy moly. Cyrene would be proud.
You have. The less you know,
Dude, oh my goodness. And so they broke out of the cage. So now they're no longer in the cage. And so, okay, so this is the same one. But that's interesting though, because if this one was always caged, then the one that fled, did they trap this one and then run off? Because I didn't understand the sequence there, but this one was in the cage this whole time. I assume we did the world quest and then we freed them and now we gotta fight them. But then they're like, oh, there's another one out there in Mondstadt somewhere. So I'm kind of curious if this one was trapped by the other one and maybe the other one was like, I'm tired of waiting. This job sucks. Our boss sucks. I want out. And maybe they trapped them in the cage. They activated the security and then they left, which is kind of crazy.
The better.
Oh my God, what the fuck am I looking at right now? Bro, this is crazy. What is this? Oh my God. It's like a light bridge almost. It looks kind of like a light bridge and I don't know what this is supposed to represent. The abyss, forbidden knowledge, corrupted data. Actually, all of these hands too. I'm like, is this Dex maybe? Because Dex is a hand and we're seeing all of this hand imagery. Oh my God, this is so cool. So cool. All the cubes. Oh my God, dude. I just want to keep watching this trailer. It's so good. Dude, he reminds me of Finan, Dottore, the Black Tide, and Iron Tomb, like all in one. Yeah, this boss is gonna slap, dude. I cannot wait to read this boss's material. I can't wait to read this boss's archive description or like archive text to understand what the hell this thing actually is. I'm kind of curious too. Asmoday locked away these places, but I wonder if these places are inhabited at all or if it's just the structures and like, because like if she voided this, were there any people that were like, do people still live here or is this like a separate thing? Because like it's one thing to just have the structure here, but like what's the point of just saving the structures if the people that make up the civilization aren't there, you know? Wait, actually, hold on, let me double check. Oh, wait. Chat, am I tripping or are those like ghosts on the bridge right there? Those kind of look like ghosts on the bridge. I could be wrong though. You're tripping, I think? No, I don't think I am. Those are either ghosts or they're actual NPCs that I'm just like trying to make out. You know what the craziest thing about this, chat? This is a world quest. And it's like, you guys already know the same old song and dance. It's like, this is going to have crazy implications for the future of Genshin, especially with Asmoday, but I don't think a lot of people are going to lock into it, which is a little unfortunate. Also, this actually reminds me of the Natlan wing glider, like this one wing that this creature has. Also, I wonder, you know what else? They have wings on their back. I wonder if this is like a corrupted angel. I wonder if that's even possible. Like if angels, because like, I'm like, what is this thing? There's only two of them. There's two watchers. They're a pair. Also, this javelin looks super cool, but I kind of wonder if Asmoday was like, yeah, I'm just gonna take a couple angels to like help me with my separate project that I'm doing. But like, I'm wondering if these are either like fallen angels or corrupted angels. It's literally made of data, or maybe it's a data amalgamation of the angels, but like in Asmoday, like, or maybe these are just Asmoday's personal angels, like made in her like space image or whatever, or like cube image. The domain looks really dope. I'm excited for the music too. But yeah, black cubes, red and black cubes, and we were getting cubed in the freaking quest. So Aether's gonna get cubed again, which is wild. He's gonna go through some PTSD trauma. He's like, not this again. And we're gonna wake up in the freaking start of the game all over. And like, it's literally gonna be like a Samsara cycle all over again. For the most part, it feels like they left everything else pretty restricted. Obviously, they talked more deeply about the space, the Temple of Space, and like, it's like a repository of like all of these ancient civilizations that Asmoday is basically collectively saving and preserving for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because maybe it's her own way of helping Teyvat or her own way of helping out humanity, of like voiding them into these pocket spaces where they'll be saved for whatever destruction is eventually going to befall Teyvat in the future, whether it's with the Abyss or the Heavenly Principles or this war with humanity and everything that's going on right now with the Fatui and the Gnosis and maybe even even the dragons coming back into the picture. So we might actually learn about some of these ancient like some of these civilizations like we've never really even heard of, but they also talked about like the Desert Pavilion, which is based on the artifact set for Sumeru. You know, they had that academy for Liyue. I don't know if Arcadia is going to be a reference at all, because we just got a bunch of Mondstadt lore over the last couple of patches where Arcadia was mentioned, which that might be like an ancient civilization of Mondstadt during the unified civilization. So, you know, for Mondstadt and Fontaine and Natlan, I'm kind of curious if Asmoday did any preservation of that nature from the past as well. But yeah, I am so excited. I just don't know what order I'm going to do things in. I think I'm going to do Linnea's quest first, just to get it out of the way, and then I'll do the world quest, and then I'll do the event, because I think the event is going to come out a little bit later into the patch, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not entirely sure, but I think we're going to do Linnea's first, just so, you know, just because I usually do Archon quests, story quests, event quests, and then world quests. And I also don't know if there's going to be any other world quests besides this main one, and then like maybe new potential books that we find and other things of that nature. Oh, the event is phase 2. Okay, then we'll have all of this done before then. So that's good. That works out. I'm also, yeah, another thing too to consider is if this is the Temple of Space, I wonder if there's a I mean, I guess there is a Temple of Time technically that we already have seen, maybe in the mortal sense, like in the mortal realm, like the Island of Time, like Istaroth's Island. But I wonder if there's a Temple of Life, Death, and Time as well, since Asmoday has one. Or maybe Asmoday's a special case because she can literally void and make her own like void space, whereas the other ones I don't think can really do that. And then obviously I'm assuming the Heavenly Principles through Reason might have one too, like a Temple of Reason, unless Paimon is somehow adjacent to that. Very interesting trailer overall. A lot of hype, a lot of excitement. I am so excited for Dornman Port. I'm gonna take my time exploring that entire area and just immersing myself. I'm so excited for the music and the NPCs more than anything. Like all of the Mondstadt NPCs and like Knights of Favonius that we've seen so far. And just having Dornman Port finally, I think I'm gonna make like a compilation video of all of the times that they've mentioned Dornman Port to where now we're finally getting it. And it's just like, it's so awesome. It's like, it's been, Dornman Port I think was first mentioned by Henry Morton, who was the NPC that connected us to the Island of Time back during 1.0. And like that was like I think the first time Dornman Port was ever mentioned by someone in game. And then over the years we've just heard it time and time again, and to finally have it, it's like holy moly, we're finally here, which is cool. I wonder if we're gonna learn about Asmoday, right? The Shades have mentioned that like she loves her new master more than herself. So I'm like, who's her new master? You know, we had like the theory of like, oh, Paimon or whatever, but I don't really know if that's the case anymore. I mean, it could still be, because you know we haven't gotten any confirmations or deconfirmations of that. Based on all of this, it's just very strange that she would safeguard everything. She'd put up this whole security system. She'd have watchers here. She'd preserve humanity as well. And then she would just dip, almost like she doesn't really give a shit what happens now. Like something changed and she's like, okay, I'm done. I'm out of here. So I wonder if we're going to learn about like where she's been or where she's at now, or her thought process regarding everything that's happened over the years, how she feels about the other Shades, the Heavenly Principles, how she feels about humanity. I ultimately want to understand that situation, what happened after we fought her, because Aether got voided. She like sent him on his way, right? Sealed his power, and I think trapped him in this like space, you know, and he eventually landed into that, like he wasn't able to leave. But like I really would love to know, like she also cubed Lumine, but now Lumine's out there in the world doing her own thing, and we don't really understand the aftermath or the interactions or like what could have possibly happened to where like it's almost like that sequence didn't happen because we have no context anymore. I don't expect that we're gonna get all of that answered, but those are just the thoughts at the forefront of my mind when it comes to Asmoday. Ultimately, I think Venti needs to really start telling us more if he knows more, because like the fact that there's a Temple of Time and a Temple of Space within his region, and two statues, one that connects to this Temple of Space and one that seemingly is the gateway to Celestia. It's like, brother, can we just be honest, please? Can we start truly being honest and opening up about all of this information? I feel like Venti needs information before he divulges information. You know, like we just chatted with him recently in the Varka story quest of him like mentioning and discussing like everything that's happened so far since we last talked, and everything that happened in Natlan and everything that happened in Krai. So I feel like Venti's like, I'll give you information in exchange for information. So we're gonna end up going on this journey and finding out more information on Asmoday, and then Venti will be like, all right, let's coordinate and let's corroborate our information. But I feel like Venti knows a lot more than he's letting on. I also don't think this is the end of Dottore. The fact that he mentioned life, space, time and death, reason, all of them thought I would fail. It seems like he very much knew about the heavenly principles in the shades. I mean, he did, but like it seemed like they knew of him as well. And the fact that this creation that has a similar arm design as him, and the fact that I think the mask on his face is also similar to the one that Dottore had on his face, it almost seemed like Dottore was trying to be this thing, like a watcher level being of some sort. Because like the side by sides look so uncanny. Just switch this for blue and I feel like it would look more like Dottore. Dottore, I mean, granted, Dottore didn't have wings, but he had like this giant like moon marrow contraption. I don't know, maybe Dottore learned something, a thing or two about space and about like all this cube energy, and I don't know. I'm so perplexed by Dottore because I don't think he's dead. No body, no death. And the fact that like we had that glitching effect at the end leads me to believe that there's more at stake with him. And I'm curious if he's in cahoots with the shades at all, or Asmoday even. We'll have to play this quest and see what Hoyo is cooking, but definitely noticed it. So, you know, I'm just trying to lock in. I'm kind of curious too, like how, if Asmoday did do that for humanity, like voided them, I'm kind of curious as to her reasoning, why she would do that. It's almost like her selfish way of safeguarding them from like whatever else is going to happen out here, especially if Dottore has it out for Irminsul, and if that will affect the memories and the consciousness and like the existence of people on Teyvat. But I'm curious if her domain space is like, if it like severs that connection with Teyvat altogether, right? Yeah, space abides no I guess that's true, yeah. Space abides no reason, but I mean that applies to all the shades, but they're all doing things for themselves now. They're not doing they're doing things of their own volition and for the sake of humanity, not for the sake of the heavenly principles. And it seems like all of them have some type of grudge, it seems like. Maybe not all of them, like Renova and maybe Asmoday, I'm not entirely sure. She did regard herself as the sustainer of heavenly principles. So I feel like if any of them, maybe Asmoday is still like on their side and puts the heavenly principles over humanity's wants. Jump scare, future Arnold here. I am recording this portion and tagging it at the end of the analysis that you just watched because we mostly stuck to the trailer in terms of the analyses, but Hoyo kind of revealed a lot of interesting information that's worth commentating and talking about and expanding on throughout the special program, with the voice actors revealing stuff about Linnea and about the space of the Temple of Space with Asmoday and whatnot. So I wanted to just kind of do this post-recording, off-stream recording. It's still Friday right now, so the analysis will be going up on Saturday, so tomorrow you'll see this. But I hope you guys enjoyed it overall. 07s to the chat, they are no longer here. I wanted to lock it in first, talk about Linnea. I'm most likely going to be pulling for the character, but skipping her weapon. I'll find somebody who has the weapon to read the lore off of whenever we get to her lore next patch. It seems like she's going to be our second major foray into like a playable Fae character, with the exception of Flynn's, obviously. She's confirmed to be a changeling Fae from Snezhnaya. She's one of the 6 common Fae types. I think the ones that, at least the ones that I know so far, are the changeling, the lantern Fae, and now we also have Jack Frost, which is the Fae companion of Linnea, which is really cool. And she's going to have like a lot of extra context with like how she kind of got put into human society, swapped out with a human. I'm kind of curious if she's going to meet her human replacement, you know, because they lightly touched up on that in the special program. They're like, oh, changeling swap out their children with like human children. And so I'm kind of curious if the person that she's going to match up with in the tournament is going to be the human that her changeling mother replaced like from her at birth, and just kind of having that whole dynamic of like, oh, the life they could have had, but the life that they ended up having in general. So I'm kind of curious if that's the plot angle that they're going to be going with mostly. She seems to be a yapper as well. She's an advisor for the Adventurers Guild. You know, they say that she does a bunch of seminar sessions for people. So the fact that she's in the Adventurers Guild makes me feel like she might have some information or some run-ins with Fischl, which I'm excited about. So I would love a sequence with Fischl, Nicole, and Linnea, just like the girlies yapping about a bunch of crazy nonsense, like be it lore or like the world, the universe, or anything like that. I think that would just be really awesome. Regarding the Fae as well, I know that there are a couple of books in Krai right now that focus on the Fae. I'm actually streaming tomorrow, if you guys don't know. I am going to be doing a stream tomorrow, going through the rest of the lore lore readings for Nod Cry content before the next patch. So we're going to be reading Varka lore. We're going to be reading the other artifact set, the Hexerite artifact set, and I'm going to be checking out the brief history of the Pale Starborn, I think was the book. And there's another book that focuses, I think, to an extent on the Fae. So I'm going to be learning a little bit more about the Fae tomorrow, but as far as right now, we do have a handful of Fae that are common to Snezhnaya, which is exciting because we're going to, you know, we'll be there by the end of this year, so that's great. I think it's crazy that she's power creeping the Omni Ubiquity nets. So not only that, she has like her own little dossier of like environmental things as well. So overall, very excited for her. Dornman Port is absolute cinema. I did talk about this earlier. I think the flower field is like, it's giving Chinksa Village energy. The windmills are beautiful. It's great. You can actually see the location from the bottom left here from this viewpoint. So you can see the cliff sides, you can see the port, you can see the rolling flower fields as well. And I think there's like a statue of the Seven in the distance over there. Just a beautiful landscape. I did heavily glaze this earlier as well. But yeah, just seeing the port and just seeing how everything comes together, it really does feel like it's been a long time coming. And I never had like a vision in my mind of what Dornman Port would look like. So seeing what it actually looks like, it's like, wow, this feels natural to Mondstadt. This feels natural to the history of everything that we've heard about it so far, especially with how it's structured, right? It's kind of blocking off the like the terrain here, like the bridge kind of creates like a nice defensive situation for it, and then it's also like layered on top of that, like there's layers to it. Almost feels like it's literally just like Mondstadt, like the same defensive structure of like there being layers and different floors, and like you got the castled like situation or like the castled structure. So really great. I can't wait to talk to all the NPCs. I'm going to be yapping to a bunch of NPCs when I get here. The new character. Apparently Bran and I shared the same brain cell, because I got a bunch of comments in my reaction of people telling me, oh my gosh, why did you and Bran both mention that this is like Goth Nahida, which I think that's hilarious. But it's because it looked like she looks like it's like the hair. She has like the same like side ponytail as Nahida. She's like the same like model type as Nahida. Like if you literally just swap Nahida's dress out for like this color scheme, she looks just like her. So I don't know if it's Wanderer's influence. I don't know if this is Nahida's like evil twin sister or something, but she, like the first character I thought of was Nahida. I actually thought it was Nahida as well. I think I mentioned that the silhouette looked like Nahida when we first got the drip marketed silhouettes like a couple patches ago. She has an animo vision, and it's a Mondstadt casing, and she's in Dornman Port, so she might be a Mondstadt Dornman Port located character, which is why we haven't heard of her or seen her up to this point, which basically means I'm curious if she's gonna follow that same trend. Everyone with an animo vision has lost somebody in a tragic way, whether it's like death or separation or whatever the case might be. We just got Varka, and you know, Varka's situation I think connects with Master Crepus. I haven't read his lore yet to know specifically how he got his vision, but for the most part, that's like the connective tissue between like all animo users. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if she's a 5-star or a 4-star though. No offense, she looks like a 4-star. I'm kind of curious if anybody on that silhouetted drip marketing preview was a 4-star, because Lohen might be a standard 5-star character. Nicole is definitely a 5-star. If the character that's in the water is also Sandrone, she's definitely going to be a 5-star. So this character might be a 5-star as well. I'm not entirely sure. They have this message board here that this character's looking at, and it has like a witch's hat. It also mentions here, it talks about a crimson trap. She is an expert at weaponizing her so-called life experience to launch top-down strikes against saplings in their formative years. She has even resorted to the heinous act of abducting a vital soul companion. No, not just an ordinary pet, a truly noble soul. And then she says here, who ripped my notice? Might it have been one of the witch's minions? So I'm kind of curious if this character knows about the Hexencircle, or if this is like a post mentioning either Alice or Klee, because this passage here talks about, she's basically asking the public if any of you guys can point me to or lead me to the witch who's exceedingly self-centered, likes to make bombs as gifts, and wears a giant holy hat. Get in touch with me ASAP. I will be at my stakeout location nearby. So it seems like this character might be connected to the Hexencircle, or maybe Alice in particular. I don't know if Alice is a bit of a troll in Dornman Port, or if she has connections with people out here, but this character might actually know her. I'm not going to say this character themselves is like a witch in training or anything like that. I have no idea who they are, but it seems like she might know Alice in particular based on this crimson trap. So it's a crimson trap, like reveal crimson trap. So that sounds like it could be Alice related. So moving on from there, we have the sanatorium sanatorium. So shout out to Libin, who did talk about, like, at the top of the hill, there is a sanatorium, which she also mentioned that anybody who goes there eventually goes there and is never seen again. And we see the cubes up in the distance there, which implies that there might be like a space situation that is like the people that go up there are end up getting trapped in like these space dimensions, or these like space realms even, or maybe they slip into Asmoday's Temple of Time. But we did hear about that. I did not realize that it was connected to the Shade of Space, so that's kind of crazy. It seems like we're going to be going on a world quest with this character named Zeitlind, which I will talk about this character in a moment because she seems very sus, not to mention the fact that she's literally hanging out in what looks to be a cemetery, and she's right in front of this headstone in particular, and she's asking the traveler for help. And obviously we're helping everybody and their mother in this game. So Zeitlind is very interesting. I will tie back to this eventually. The statue of Venti, I did mention this earlier in the analysis, but this seems to be connecting Venti with Asmodee, or at least connecting time with space, which we know space and time are like a pairing, right? I mentioned this during, and I guess I'll talk about it now. You know what? I'll jump ahead and talk about this now that we're getting into it. So one thing that I'm kind of curious about regarding the pairing that I just mentioned, and I'm going to tie this into something that I mentioned a few patches ago. This character is looking for assistance by the traveler to find information on an important relative. Now, some of you guys might not know this, but upon doing some research, Zeit actually translates to time. So this character's name is partially translated to mention time. And we know that time and space are a pairing, very much similar to how life and death are a pairing. And I remember mentioning when we got the Luna Arcana cards and I read through all the Luna Arcana for the first time, I was curious why the Luna Arcana representing Istaroth, she was crying in it. And I read through the lore of it, and it kind of implied to me the reason Istaroth was crying because she can't find her missing sister. She can't find Asmodee. The Shades have been looking for her this whole time, right? Nibirius and Renova have each other, right? Because I assume that them two are the closest out of all the sisters, right? Essentially, they're all sisters. I'm assuming life and death have a close connection, a close bond, because they kind of complete one another. They're like the opposites of each other, life and death. And so for the same reason, space and time are paired. And so Istaroth is basically existing in this world without her pair, without her other half, without her closest sibling. And so how I think all of this comes together is that this NPC mentions that this was once a sacred hall of the god of space, but she is nowhere to be found, implying that if you wanted to find or reach Asmodee, or at the very least find out where she ran off to, you would probably want to go to her home of where she frequently resides. So basically, I think Zeitlind, which her name is a translation of time, Zeit means time in German, I basically think this is Istaroth. And I think she's trying to infiltrate Asmodee's space to try to find out information about her whereabouts or what happened to her. But if you break the rules of this location, the Watchers are awakened and they kind of go on alert and they try to stop anyone from making progress through. So basically, I think Asmodee prevented any of her sisters from basically trespassing into her domain. Now, I think the reason why we have access might be because the traveler is a descender and therefore he's an exception to the rules, right? The exception of eternity, he's an exception to the rules, and he's able to like bypass whatever restrictions are there, especially if the statue relates to Venti. And the traveler's first element that they got in Teyvat, the first element they resonated with was Animo at a Statue of the Seven at Starfell Lake. And so I think all of that kind of ties in, especially with how the traveler first, like they showed the scene of the traveler interacting with that time statue, and like it almost seemed like they resonated with Animo, and then they got access to this place. So I think this character, Zeitlind, I think this is Istaroth, and she's teaming up with the traveler to get access to her paired sister Asmodee's domain space to find out information about what happened to her, which makes sense of why Zeitlind is trying to find clues about an important relative. So I think that's the connection to all of this. So overall, I'm pretty sure the world quest is going to give us extensive information about all of these ancient civilizations from the distant past of Teyvat, which I mentioned this during the analysis, but we have another NPC that we're interacting with here. He looks like he's wearing, I don't know if that's like Remoria attire, because it kind of almost looks like what Cassiodor was wearing during the Remoria world quest. He mentions, "Greetings, newcomers. My name is Istoria. I hail from the age when the dark dragon king rent the sky open." So this guy is from the ancient civilization of humanity 6,000 years ago during the War of Vengeance. And so, first off, his name is Istoria. Put an H in front of his name, that's Historia. So it seems like he's like I guess he's like a keeper of the history of this place. I don't know if he's like a stand-in for anything regarding that, but the VAs mentioned that this is a realm of Asmoday's personal collection, where we have remnants of, I assume, like Meropis, and we have this Academy of Liyue, we have the Desert Pavilion of Sumeru, we have this chamber area, which seems to be an amalgamation of a bunch of different nations as well and civilizations. And this is when we start getting information on Dex, which basically means right, hence right hand, hence the right hand pun. And it seems like here they're giving us information on one of the two watchers, which has a name, Malanta. Now they say the one who remained, so I think they're explaining that back in the day there used to be two watchers. However, one of them is now gone. They seem to be somewhere in Dornman Port, and the one who remained, Malanta, grew increasingly severe of us. He did not descend into the mortal world, but he has descended into madness. So I think they were just stuck here for so long that they slowly just started going crazy, or maybe the time spent away and like the parameters and the mandate that was set to them by Istaroth kind of became too much for them, where the other watcher was like, I need to get out of here before I go crazy as well. And so the other one that stayed here is basically locked up in a cage for their own good, essentially. And then we actually get them here, and it says, this is Malanta, this is one of the two watchers, and there's an incredible parallel between these two watchers that I'm going to touch on as well. It says, this too is law. With the creator absent and nihil fallen from grace, I must uphold the measure once set by my lord. So I think this is implying that this watcher's name is Malanta, and the watcher that fell from grace, the one that left, the one that fled, is named Nihil. Now, what's very interesting about this is this following line where they say, this place exists only to preserve. All innovation, all evolution is forbidden here. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Eternity, a similar fashion of what the Raiden Shogun was doing throughout the Inazuma Art Conquest, which was Inazuma is supposed to maintain eternity. Nothing changes, everything stays the same, nobody in, nobody out. As long as we stay the same, eternity is the closest thing to the heavenly principles. That's what Istaroth has mentioned in the past. And it almost kind of seems like this watcher is also kind of has a similar mandate, where this location, this area is meant solely to preserve. And to go a step further with that, given that this NPC Istoria mentioned they're an individual from the time when, you know, Dragon King Nibelung souped up on forbidden knowledge, was ravaging and ripped the sky open and waged war on the shades and the heavenly principles, I wonder if Asmoday brought these civilizations here to spare them being destroyed throughout the War of Vengeance and the funerary year. Asmoday voided these civilizations to preserve them, otherwise they would have been destroyed during the War of Vengeance. Think of Byakuya Koku. That place is in the freaking depths of the freaking, of like the Void Realm at this point, because they were caught in the crossfires of the War of Vengeance. These other civilizations, these academies, and these other structures and locations that are in this void space, I think Asmoday put them here as a way of protecting them from the War of Vengeance, but I don't think she can re-assimilate them back into the present because so many things have changed since then, right? The Abyss is there, and as long as the place is here, it doesn't seem like anything will harm or get to these people. They kind of live a shallow existence when you think about it, because they're basically trapped in stasis. So this is basically like a primordial celestial version of eternity, where things are here simply to be preserved. Maybe they'll be used as a backup, or maybe they're used as a way of protecting the heavenly principles' earliest creations. But I'm kind of curious if that's the angle that they're going with here. And here's another thing too, before we switch back. I wonder if this shot right here, it's probably kind of hard to see. I'll enhance it for you guys, but I wonder if this is like a preview shot of Snezhnaya. It looks like we can see like some trees and some snow, We have this giant structure right here. It kind of looks like it could have been the Sacred Flame, but like these buildings look like they have snow and like a chimney and whatnot. So this might be one of the Krejnik's torches, like one of the structures that provide warmth and heat throughout Snezhnaya. So this might be like an early preview look at what Snezhnaya looks like through like whatever looking glass situation we're going through here. It looks like we're also going through like some celestial doors. So I'm not entirely sure what this sequence is. We're gonna have to figure out when we play. But one thing that I do want to emphasize and showcase that I came to realize is this is the Watcher that we got revealed of being the world boss that we have to fight somewhere in Dornman Port. This is Nihil, I believe. This is Nihil. This is the Watcher that fled Asmoday's domain. Now, I'm gonna put above this one, this is the Watcher, Malanta, that is currently in the Temple of Space. Notice how they are the opposite mirrored image of one another. Nihil, right, the fallen Watcher, the fallen Vigil, it seems like they represent light, or they represent the sky, and Malanta represents dark, or represents the earth. I couldn't help but notice that Malanta and Nihil seem to mirror a lot of the Traveler's similarities. Malanta has the same color schemes as Aether. Aether's default color scheme is that of Earth. It's gold, it's white, and it's brown. And then Lumine's is white and gold, and like with some like light blues in there. And so I wonder if these Watchers are created to mirror or mimic the Traveler and the sibling, right? The twins, essentially. And so there's two twins, there's two Watchers. We have one Watcher that's doing their job, and there's another Watcher that ran off, and it seems kind of similar that like the siblings are also separated, and they're both doing two different things. One of them seems more headstrong with the Abyss. We're kind of doing our own thing, trying to find our way through this journey. But it kind of makes you wonder too, because if this ties back into the original data construct of the Heavenly Principles, if the Heavenly Principles is the AI construct of the spaceship that belonged to the twins, these two Watchers being created and being modeled after the twins makes sense, because it would have originally came from the directive, or it would have come from like the data or the original creation of the Heavenly Principles, who's based on the spaceship that belongs to the twins in the first place. So long story short, I'm kind of curious if the Watchers are based on the siblings or based on Aether and Lumine, but like in a twisted way, like Asmoday has made them her own, essentially. I know that was a lot, but it's very interesting. Like, they have the opposite arm of the other character. They have the opposite wing of the other one. They hold their weapon in the opposite arm. So, like, if you were to combine both of them together, if these two halves come together to make a whole, they would be like a true being. Which, again, don't know if it's implying that Aether and Lumine are like a split copy, and they're like two separates, but when you put them together, they're a whole. Similar things like regarding Aether and Lumine, they have two different fighting styles, but they cover each other's like weak points. So like if you were to do like the normal attacks of both Aether and Lumine side by side, they would kind of create like a full unit together. So again, very similar, not entirely sure. I'm also curious if Dex, right? Dex is the right hand, and this Watcher's right arm is like corrupted with like this like red cube data like effect. I'm just curious if this is at all reference to Dex, because Dex has like white like a white color scheme, and we know that and for this one at the very least, Malanta has like a dark color scheme. So I wonder if Dex either belongs to Nihil or if Dex belongs to Asmoday potentially, but we'll have to wait and see. That's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about and address. Also, shout out to the fact that Seamus Pegg literally pulled up and told Varka, bro, can my daughter get some fucking time off? Can you get your ass in the office and work for once? I love Varka, but brother has gone on too long making Jean do everything for the last 5.5 years while she overworks herself like her father does. So, you know, I love that. Can't wait to see him in the game. And yeah, everything else regarding this is super exciting. I'm very interested to learn more about Asmoday and about these Watchers and how they connect with the Traveler. I do think that Zeitlind is like Istaroth in disguise, looking for her sister or looking for clues on her sister's whereabouts, like her missing relative, her important relative. And I'm kind of curious if this, what the connection between this fall of grace between Malanta and Nihil is all about. These were some really interesting points that I wanted to address and talk about and bring up, because these weren't really relevant or focused that much during the trailer. So I was like, you know what? I'll tag this on. It'll be a pretty lengthy video. but I feel like it's going to be worth the commentary. It's going to be worth the discussion, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Gamers, I'll tell you right now, I was not expecting all of this. I was not expecting when you guys were like, oh, Arnold, what's your predictions? What are your thoughts for this next patch? I'm like, Linnea story quests, some type of limited event, and maybe Dornman Port. I mean, we got all of those things. I just didn't realize they were attaching all of this shade-related Asmoday space-oriented lore with it. I didn't know Dornman Port was going to be this cracked. Like, actually crazy. But I think those are all of my thoughts, theories, speculations, predictions going into Luna 6. This is a pretty straightforward trailer, I would say. But it seems like the world quest is pretty much carrying this patch outside of, you know, the Linnea story quest and the event that's going to be in the second half. But it's welcomed. We've been waiting 5.5 years for this new expansion. We finally got it. Mondstadt's getting the glow ups that it's been overdue for years now. Like, we just got Varka last patch, and like Bloodstained Night lore, and like the Hexerai buffs, and like all of these like things with the Hexen Circle. And now we're finally getting Dornman Port, Knights of Favonius. We have a couple of new characters to look forward to. The new girl that that was drip marketed. I think we're gonna meet her this patch. We're getting Lohen again. Seamus Pegg has a model in game. We're gonna formally get to meet him, which is exciting. And I'm just hoping that we get to see Frederica when we go to Dornman Port, and I hope we get to see Toma's mom Ulrich when we go to Dornman Port, because she should be there as well. I'm also looking forward to the oh, I forgot, the cocktail night that was in the bartender event that we just recently did for the Mondstadt event, because she said that she's going to be stationed in Dornman Port as well. With the, she has like the new cocktail night title, so I'm gonna be Glenfiddia. So I'm hoping that we see Glenfiddia and some of the other knights that we got to see during Paralogism and the recent Homecoming event as well. I think that's everything. Those are all of my thoughts, theories, speculations, hopes, dreams, fears, and everything else in between. I will absolutely be streaming this in its entirety. We're probably gonna do Linnea's quest first. I'm probably gonna pull for Linnea but skip her weapon for the most part. We'll just see how everything comes together when this patch drops. I will be streaming again tomorrow, by the way. At the time of recording, it's Friday. I'll be streaming tomorrow on Saturday. Tomorrow's just gonna be all lore reading. I gotta finish reading the artifact set, the other artifact set that I didn't finish. We have a couple of books to read, and Varka's lore and Varka's weapon. So that's basically everything that we're gonna be getting into tomorrow. So I hope you guys will tune in. I hope you guys will check it out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.